Wife of a young hood serving a long term in the state penitentiary. Margot had once made the fatal mistake of trying to fill the vacuum in her life. First with drugs in general, then heroin in particular. Now, when deprived of that drug for any length of time, she was tortured by the cruel sickness of narcotic withdrawal. Though from entirely different socioeconomic backgrounds, these two young women had much in common. And built upon this common ground was the beginning of a new and dangerous association. In the weeks that followed, Cassandra and Margot Rossi became not only the closest of friends, but also partners in business. Margot had resorted to devious means of supporting her expensive drug habit. One of these had been the retailing of marijuana on street corners for a pandering dope merchant by the name of Sven Bergman, the pusher on whom Margot had become dependent for her supply of heroin. With Cassandra's encouragement, however, Margot had broken with Bergman, and the two girls were now in business for themselves. When the word got around town that a couple of girls were dealing in marijuana, Cassandra and her business partner began to realize a monopoly on the local weed market. Junkies from all over town were attracted by the novelty of making their buys from women. The girls had the edge on competition and business prospered, but they had made the mistake of opening up shop on someone else's coveted corner of the cement jungle, namely Sven Bergman's. They had been operating not only in competition with, but in outright defiance of a madman. For any young addict to have known this man was to become his slave, and Margot Rossi had been one of his so-called employees. Reforging the shackles and shortening the chain on one of his renegade slave employees was simply a matter of increasing the mainline jolt of heroin, thereby increasing the slave's dependency upon the master and his supply of the drug. Cassandra had encouraged Margot to break with Bergman, but Margot, unfortunately, had neglected to inform her young friend of the sinister circumstances involving her relationship with her would-be ex-employer. Months later, Cassandra was found in a back alleyway just off Main Street, ironically in much the same condition as that in which she had once found Margot Rossi. Picked up by an officer from the narcotics detail and taken to the county hospital, her condition was diagnosed as acute narcotic withdrawal symptoms. Due to a lack of adequate facilities for handling addiction cases, Cassandra was here committed to the ward assigned to the mentally ill. Shortly after Cassandra's commitment to County Hospital, the press renewed their war of words against the city's ever-growing narcotics problem, and this time with bitter invective. City Hall countered with an appropriation to increase the manpower of the narcotics detail, and we followed up with Operation Cleanup. Starting with the bad boys of the medical profession, we picked off the quacks around town that were suspected of indiscriminate narcotics administration. By October the 4th, we had the dragnet anchored down over the entire city. The big drive was underway. It was a clean sweep all the way down to the bottom of the barrel. But it wasn't the pure and simple case of cops and robbers that it appeared to be on the surface. To be sure, the supply of dope to be had around town diminished almost overnight. Even the pushers we didn't pick up got nervous and closed up shop for the duration. But the demand for the stuff maintained a pathetic status quo. Scores of young addicts like this became desperate for the drug they could no longer buy, beg, borrow, or even steal. The heat was on, and there was a panic in the wind. By the end of the week, the city was literally crawling with the desperation and sickness of narcotic withdrawal. Some we found dead. On November the 2nd, we ran down one of the hottest tips we'd gotten since the beginning of the big push in October. Our first lead on the whereabouts of Sven Bergman, but it didn't amount to much. It would have taken something like the assistance of the state militia to have smoked Bergman out of that complicated maze of tunnels comprising the municipal storm drain. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon that day when Bergman gave us the slip. On the other side of town, about 6 miles away via the storm drain, the Rossi girl waited to keep an appointment of mercy with an old friend. The Lee girl, in the meantime, had been transferred out of County Hospital into a private sanitarium. The family's choice of an institution, however, had been a poor one. Inexperienced in the handling of narcotic addiction cases, the sanitarium staff sadly underestimated the perverted will and determination of the addict. Since Cassandra's release from County Hospital in October, Margot had been putting the bite on Bergman for some $40-odd worth of heroin a day that was being smuggled into Cassandra at the sanitarium. After the police had tried to put the screws on him that afternoon, Bergman evidently figured the tip-off the police had gotten was someone's backhanded way of canceling out a sizable debt resulting from the purchase of heroin on credit. Someone like Cassandra Lee and Margot Rossi. One of Bergman's jealous competitors gave us the tip, but Margot Rossi took the rap. When Margot was found murdered, Cassandra's parents lost little time removing their daughter from the local scene. For a period of 8 months following the incident, Cassandra remained outside our jurisdiction, reportedly farmed out with relatives in the neighboring community. In June of the following year, Cassandra appeared on the local scene again. The stage was a downtown parking lot, and the narcotics detail had the best seats in the house. In fact, it was almost a command performance. When Cassandra was hustled out of town by her parents in November, the girl was still a confirmed heroin addict, haunted by the incessant demands of her drug. Her search for heroin on the back streets of a new locale led her into the dangerous company of one Cholo Martinez, and consequently into the middle of what we believe to be an international car theft and smuggling operation. For the past 3 months, we'd been quietly observing the operation while systematically eliminating its stateside membership one at a time. Martinez, the ringleader, and his amigo Jimmy Sanchez were the only two left in circulation north of the Mexican border. Cassandra, who in recent months had become Cholo's woman, was now doubling in brass for some of the absentee members who had in recent months disappeared into the protective custody of the county sheriff's office. After 3 months of legalized kidnapping, we'd finally succeeded in forcing Cholo's hand. He and Sanchez were trying to pull a job by themselves. To this very end, we had carefully deprived Martinez of his organization of addicts and thieves. With only a skeleton crew now, composed of Cassandra, who at the moment was doing a masterful job of distracting the parking lot attendant, and Jimmy Sanchez, a mental defective, it was almost certain that Martinez would take the stolen car directly to the rendezvous point on the Mexican border, where it would then be sold in exchange for wholesale quantities of heroin. We were standing by, waiting to accompany Martinez and the stolen car to the border. The big game was in Mexico. "11 hours later, Martinez, Cassandra Lee, and Jimmy Sanchez were racing across the open country north of the Mexican border, headlong into the final phase of our setup. Every highway leading into Mexico within a radius of 70 miles of the estimated point of entry was blocked by deputies from one of several border county sheriff's offices, with whom we'd been in radio contact since the time of our departure. Estimating the mileage from his last stop for gasoline, we knew that Martinez would have to make one more stop to refuel before crossing into Mexico. To carry out the rest of our plan of action, it was mandatory that we separate Sanchez from Martinez at a point somewhere near the border. The Mexican police were standing by, waiting for certain vital information we expected to get from Sanchez. Cassandra hadn't seen my happy face for more than 8 months. It was quite a shock. Sanchez was certain that Martinez had sold him down the river. Under such ideal circumstances, we knew it wouldn't be hard to make Sanchez talk. When Martinez and Cassandra turned off the main highway onto one of the old dirt wagon roads leading into Mexico, we checked their point